So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiancé UK. I'm Mr. O, and today, Miss H and I will be discussing Season 11, Episode 8 of 90 Day Fiancé. On this episode, Shawn tries to woo Alliyah with a vibrating bed. Mahdi loud cries for attention. Mina gives Jordan a taste of her own medicine. Jessica tries to calm down her friend Megan. Shekinah springs Sarper on her daughter Sophie. And Stevi and Mahdi paint his guns. We'll be back again next week to talk about Episode 9. You can also listen to us on our other channel, covering the new season of Love After Lockup UK. Alright, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are you today?
I'm tired. I was out there. I saw you this weekend.
Yep.
And then I'm back in the East Coast now. So that's the kind of tired you get. That quick West Coast
which is why
trip.
we're a day late. But we're also having to speed it up because I've had a super busy day today. Back-to-back meetings and obligations. And then I'm supposed to see Alton Brown tonight.
Yeah, that sounds fun, though.
Fun. So did we have any couples that were having fun this week? Nah, it just seems like drama.
No, I would think there was literally no fun. No fun at all.
I'm looking through and I'm not seeing any fun. So why don't we start off with, I don't know, maybe a little serious, I guess. A lot of them are serious. Let's talk about Shawn and Alliyah. So Alliyah is still in bed after a night of sex. They're trying to get the dog out of the bed, and Alliyah feels that there's germs from the dog, but she feels comforted by the vibrating bed. So for some reason, they also have this weird baby doll in the bed, which Shawn is snuggling with as Alliyah goes to get ready. Alliyah gets upset that her toothbrush was in the soap dish and thinks that the toothbrush needs to be thrown out because of all the in-air germs like when you flush the toilet. Shawn thought it was just a side effect of being a nurse, but now he's realizing that Alliyah, she's just a germaphobe. Alliyah wants to go out and buy a new toothbrush and get more things to clean the house with. So they go to the pharmacy and Alliyah gets distracted by the dog toys. She then picks out a toothbrush and a toothbrush cover. She also sees an HIV test, and Shawn says that she wants him to do one every month. She thinks that he should do one because they're in an open relationship. Shawn says in a perfect world, they would be monogamous, but he's worried that if she transitions fully, that he'll be missing out on things that he enjoys, like a penis. Alliyah feels like she feels safer that the tests are so easily available in the US. She has tested herself 7 times this last year, and it's given her a sense of relief. She admits that it is a lot, though. Shawn realized that Alliyah is a germaphobe because every scrape, scratch, or cut, Alliyah questions if she has HIV. Alliyah brings up Shawn, claiming that they would be monogamous when she's there, and Shawn says that as long as their intimacy and connection are good, that, okay, they can be monogamous. This makes Alliyah question if he's still attracted to her as a woman. She asks if she gets surgery to progress her transition. Will he still be attracted to her? And Shawn approves of her making changes like, a butt lift or shaving down her brow bone, but he's concerned that the surgery just won't end or stop there. He's not really sure how he feels about bottom surgery. Shawn doesn't want either of them to feel like they have to lose something to have this relationship work. Alliyah wants to guide him through this process. Shawn isn't sure how he'll feel if every semblance of the man he fell in love with will be erased. Okay, so, do you think it's fair of Shawn to kind of, because he was more into men? I mean, it's not to say that he's not bi. He technically is bi, but it sounds like he's living kind of this second half of his life more gay than bi.
Sure.
But do you think he does actually know where he stands right now? Or do you think that Shawn is just kind of holding on to hope that Alliyah stops her transition where she's at?
That's probably what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like that's the frustrating part about Shawn and his fence straddling, right? I think if he said, "Congratulations, Alliyah, that's great. You made your transition. You're who you really are. That's not who I want to be with."
Yeah.
Like, best of luck to you. We can go our separate ways. I think that's perfectly acceptable. Or if he wants to accept Alliyah for who she is and stay with her and be with her, that's perfectly acceptable. But you can't just do the whole relationship being like, well, you used to be a man, so I get to fuck men. Like that's not a reasonable, sustainable way for the relationship to move forward. It is a wondering whether or not he just doesn't know what he wants to do, or if he's just hoping she doesn't have gender reassignment surgery. We'll see where that goes then. Yeah.
I'm wondering a little bit if he feels like he has some kind of control over that, because how is she going to afford that in the US? She's not working. So it's really like him kind of feeling like maybe he has this sense of control, because in the end, he's the one holding the purse strings. And so if he says, no, I don't want to pay for that, he's ultimately has some amount of say-so and control, because how can she do this without him?
Yeah, and I feel like he just keeps using reasonable, I would say controlling things, but reasonable demands as you're as an evidence that she's just as controlling and she's just as in control as he is, as evidence. What I'm thinking of is the HIV test, right? Yeah. That he doesn't want to take every month, but she doesn't, and it's like that's not an unreasonable request for an openly gay, it doesn't matter if you're gay, an open relationship person,
sure,
right? Who's going out and sleeping with other people to have regular STD tests, whether or not it's a month or not. I mean, it wouldn't be unreasonable for them to both be on PrEP, right? If that's what you were worried about. But that isn't, it definitely seems like he's like, well, I can do what I want in XYZ because she's making me take HIV tests, right? And it's just, the whole thing is a very weird power trip. And I'm not sure where the power, how he's exerting the power, but he clearly has it.
He does have the power, because it's clear that she doesn't want to have an open relationship, but who's kind of, quote, winning, he is. So that shows you where they're at.
Yeah. It just, so it is more of it. I guess he's trying, the manipulation is more manipulating us, because he clearly has all the power and is trying to convince us that she has the power. Yeah. It's not a good look. There's just, this is especially when we keep saying it. We know where this goes. We know where this, and every time I watch it, I'm like, yep. Although the toothbrush thing was weird. I never, my toothbrush doesn't sit on the soap dish, but it sits upright on the sink, right? Next to it. I don't have it covered.
Yeah, but I know people who do that are weird about that, because there is some amount of proof that every time you flush your toilet and you're not closing the lid while you flush the toilet, that those particles are in the air. And so, I mean, it's a bit of an extreme. I don't think anyone's getting sick from that. But if you think about it, it's I'm sure it grosses some people out. If you kind of said, oh, there's poop particles on your toothbrush, some people are going to be like, ew, gross,
There's poop particles on everything.
Right, exactly. And then some people are going to be like, okay, well, it's not going to kill me, right? It's not like I taste poop on my toothbrush. I'm just going to live through life and be okay.
No, mine goes the other way. I'm pretty adamant about shutting the toilet every time I flush it.
Yeah.
I go the other way, because it is kind of like that. I don't want this water spraying up into my bathroom everywhere. Go close this thing.
Right.
All right. So let's go to the other continuously frustrating group, and let's talk about the throuple. So we have a vintage Ford Edsel coming to pick them up, which is the least sexy Ford ever. The Edsel was the bomb. Anyway, it's coming to pick up the throuple to take them on their private winery tour. So Ameni thinks that, they're in a good place rules-wise, but she just can't stop thinking about how Anya is hiding her situation from her family. They get to the winery and grab a glass before they start the tour. So Ameni tells us things are going okay, but it's also clear that Matt's getting more attention and priority over her, and she's still feeling some kind of way about that, especially because that's the person, Ani's going to say, Mahdi is my friend, but Matt is my boyfriend. So she's starting to get jealous. She doesn't want to get jealous. So they sit down for some more wine and cheese sampling, and Ani asks Ameni what she's thinking. She's like, something's wrong. Just tell me what it is. She feels that Ameni isn't telling her everything and is like, just tell me. So Ameni says that she's still upset that she's going to be introduced as just a friend. Like, she thinks it would have been reasonable. Why not say, I'm the girlfriend and Matt is just your friend? Matt starts to join in. Is like, are we going to like clear this up? After I get to understand at the beginning, we're gonna say it, but are we gonna clear it up before we go? And Honey is like, oh no, honey, no. And that gets everybody upset. So Honey feels like feels bad that she's being dishonest, but at the same time, she thinks that they don't understand the situation and they don't understand her family or her culture, and they have to let her be the one that controls the time frame. She says, I love you, I love both of you, but give it time. So Mahdi takes all of this as just Ani not wanting to be in the relationship. Like, are you even telling anyone you're in a serious relationship? And the answer is no. And then there's a whole running off. She runs off to have a thing and then it's a kid toddler trick of like being upset and not just running away and like collecting themselves, but running away and like crying like extra loud so you can't forget that they're over there crying. Just loud crying as Matt and Annie are trying to talk.
Oh my God.
So they have to listen from the table. And it seems like Annie isn't feeling any of it, but then Matt feels like there's a lot of deception, and he goes to comfort Ameni, and soon Annie gets up too, and now everyone is there. Everyone is now paying all the attention to Ameni, which is exactly what she wanted.
Yep, exactly.
So she demands an explanation. Why are you just not telling the world that you're taken? I just want you to love us, and I need the world to know that my girlfriend is taken. So she's like, fine, if you want me to tell people, I'll tell people. But apparently that wasn't good enough, even though she got what she wanted. Like, they're still talking about like, blah, blah, blah. Why don't I just go back to San Diego if this is what it's going to be like? And I couldn't figure out why she was still upset or what anything was about anymore. And neither did it seem like Annie. So she's about to leave. She's like, I don't need any more drama in my life. And you people are just drama. So she eventually ends up screaming, "You're not my owner" at them. And so she did. It's I don't know if it's just dawning on her, or if it's just a very drama queeny part of learning about what the kind of person Ameni is. Mm-hmm. So now she's scared about going to the U.S. with them. And Matt is just like, I don't think this is going very well. Ameni's like, oh, you think, genius? Like, dumbass. So he just feels stuck in the middle of between two of them. So, and then Ameni comes to see Ani, and Ani's like, oh, I love you more than I loved him. And now that's what she wanted. So she finally found what she wanted. She doesn't know, I don't know if I want to tell Matt about this, but it makes me feel better. I'm much more secure now.
Oh,
she's, now she might just have to keep that from Matt just to keep things going smoothly. So this is all here. And it's like, we said offline before we talked that we both are in agreement that Ameni is a hugely fake person.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
What was the fakeness here? TV drama, or I'm going to manipulate these two people in a relationship with drama?
Yeah,
both?
I think it's both. So what I was saying was, before we started recording, I was really trying to see if she messed up her eye makeup, because girl's got a lot of eye makeup on, right? Uh-huh. And she seems like vain enough and fake enough that she's doing this for TV, that she does not want to look badly on TV. Okay. Mm-hmm. But her crying also seemed really fake to me. She was trying to get sympathy, but not really like actually crying. So I was like, is her eye makeup messed up? And it didn't really look like it. So it's like, yeah, I didn't see real tears. That all looks real fake to me.
Yeah, I mean, what got me for the fakeness wasn't because I didn't think of makeup, because I don't wear makeup, right? But I definitely have kids who will go to the other room upset, and you're like, all right, just let them cry it out, and they're just like, just make like extra noise. Like, that is not how you normally cry. You just want me to come in there.
Yeah. Yeah, just, being really dramatic. That's what it kind of seemed like to me. I actually didn't really take Ani saying that she loved Ameni more than Matt. I don't know if I really took her very seriously. It doesn't feel that way.
No, I wonder if she just, clocked that that's what Ameni was looking for.
Yes. Yeah.
And is like, maybe this will stop her from chasing me and being like, stop the drama. Maybe if I just tell her this, that'll cut things out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of platitudes, just to stop the drama, let's talk about Mark and Mina. So Mina is sulking away from the family because she's upset about the prenup question, and Mark defends Mina to the family. He appreciates the concern, but he feels like the family's ganging up on Mina, and that just isn't fair. He doesn't think the family barbecue is the time or the place for Jordan to bring this up. Mark goes to comfort Mina. Mina says that she doesn't like his family, and it's not fair for his family to stare at her and ask her about the prenup when she lost her whole family. She says that she was expecting more humane treatment. Jordan says that she didn't mean to upset Mina, but she wants peace. She then sends Grandma Sherry to try and smooth things over. Sherry tells Mina that the family is concerned and it wasn't about her. Sherry thinks that a wall is being built and it really needs to be broken down now before it's too late. Sherry asks if Mina wants to talk to Jordan, and Mina doesn't really have an interest because she feels like Jordan is nice to her face but mean behind her back. Mark goes to ask Jordan to talk with Sherry and Mina, as Sherry is still comforting Mina. Jordan says that it's hurtful to hear Mina call her a snake, and it would actually mean a lot for her to get an apology from Mina. Mina says it might be a translation thing, but she apologizes. Sherry asks if Jordan is still invited to the wedding. Mina says, of course she is. Jordan apologizes for offending her, but she was just trying to protect her dad. Mina tells us that she doesn't feel that the apology was sincere. Mina notes that she never apologized for having an opinion about their family planning, because Jordan was against them having more kids. Mm-hmm. So Mina says she's making an effort to take the first step towards reconciliation, but she's already getting tired of trying. Mark is just happy that everyone seems to be on good terms. And Mark, you poor oblivious fool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mark is excited to get married and have his whole family at the wedding. And they're taking the golf carts back to the ferry, and Mark tells Mina that he had a great time, and he's happy that they all made up, and everybody is great now. Mina says it does feel like there is less tension, but she's worried that Mark's family will follow up and make sure that she signs a prenup. She doesn't know if it'll be good for her and her children, and if she's just the loser in this story. When they get off the ferry, Mina tells Mark that she doesn't want to sign a prenup. Mark rolls his eyes and says that he thought they had resolved this. Mina says that she just said that in front of his family to make them happy, but this is between them. Okay, so I low-key kind of appreciate Mina's dishonesty. Like, no, I just said that.
I'm going to lie to your family now. This is
because it doesn't involve them. So what do you think about Mina's strategy for keeping the peace here, which is basically just lying to their faces and doing whatever the fuck she wants behind their back?
I mean, I feel like in her, she's not totally wrong, and I think this is the way she conceptualizes it. She's just fighting fire with fire. Yeah. That's how they're going to treat me. Mm-hmm. Then that's how I'll treat them. Yeah. Right? They're going to say one thing to my face and then go behind my back and talk shit. Then okay, we can both do that. That's fine. If that keeps the outward drama from going on. Mm-hmm. But then the problem with that is that when they do that and Mark's around, he has no idea what the fuck is going on because he is an oblivious fool. And he was just like, everybody's getting along great. He's fantastic.
Like, this is wonderful. Yeah. Good. One big happy family. And it's like, no, your family still hates each other.
Yeah, they very much do. And it's just one of those things that like, and then when Mom got involved, they both were like trying to do just enough to not, outwardly be antagonistic when Mom was telling them to make nice.
Yeah.
But like, come on, man. Just that. It always rubs me the wrong way when people demand apologies. Mm-hmm. Well, are you going to apologize to me? Because my gut reaction to that is no matter how much in the wrong I was, I'd be like, well, no, not now.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah. You're going to dig in. Sure.
Yeah. Like, and I think that's a lot of people's reaction. And so I feel like demanding an apology and getting it is very much her being like, and who's still in control of the situation? It's me. I got what I wanted. So,
yeah, I don't really know where this is going to go, but I don't think it's going to end so well for someone, either Mark or Mina, because it sounds like it's not just his family that wants her to sign a prenup. Mark it sounds like he also wants it to happen.
Yeah, but I also,
I feel like he's letting his family do the dirty work for him.
Yeah, that could very well be true. But she probably should want to sign something too. Like, okay, we'll sign it, but I'm going to sign something where I'm going to get mine. I'm not signing some bullshit where you get to keep everything because I gave everything up. I left it in France.
Right.
You want to sign a prenup? Here, I'm going to get myself a good deal in it. Right. I feel like that's the kind of way she should go about it.
Yeah.
Instead of, because I feel like that's where she's at. Cause she's like, wait, you're telling me I gave up everything. I put it all on the line, left my entire country. And now you're going to tell me, well, if this goes wrong, I'm taking it all back.
Right.
Right. You get nothing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of, that's where she's at. So, I mean, I feel like, yeah, she could play that too at that game. I don't know how it'll go, but yeah, I think you're not wrong in that Mark lets his family do the dirty work because I don't even know that he knows it's dirty work. Yeah. He just is like, well, that's what has to happen, I guess. All right. So speaking of avoiding drama, we did have anybody avoiding drama? No.
I guess Juan and Jessica.
Yeah, I guess trying to mitigate drama. Let's put it that way with Juan and Jessica. So we see Jessica ordering 2 mango daiquiris because one's for her and one's for Megan because she wants to smooth things back over with her friend. So she says this. She says that I'm basically Megan's only friend, which doesn't surprise me at all. And so there's a weird like parasocial thing going on where Megan was personally offended that Juan cheated on somebody else. Like not just offended, but personally hurt by Juan cheating on somebody else.
Oh my gosh. So ridiculous.
Yeah. Just needs her to let it go. Because she decided to let it go. And so Jessica brings it up almost right away when she comes in. And she says she just felt lied to by all of them. And now it's going to take a lot of work to build trust back in Juan. Which I don't understand whether responsible. Is it just like, you don't have to trust Juan? That's not a requirement for my relationship. But that didn't come up. Jessica says it just feels like something she could work through on her own without involving everybody else. And, sometimes you can feel things and feel a certain way and not have to share it with everybody. So Jessica just needs them to get along. Megan says, well, she has to figure out how to start moving forward again. And Jessica's like, well, you don't have much time to figure that out because if you're going to be my maid of honor and he's going to be my husband, that has to happen within 90 days. So Megan asks, well, how am I supposed to trust him again? And again, Jessica's very confused because she's like, you don't need to trust him. But that whole kind of this entire line of how could I ever trust him again is making her very worried that she's not going to be able to get along with Juan. And I guess that's the question. Why on earth does this woman think her trusting this guy is has any bearing on whether they get married at all? Like,
I don't know. I mean, I think she has an inflated sense of importance in this relationship. It might have something to do with the fact that, there's no other friends. So, she maybe thinks that she is the most important person and probably feels that she's more important than Juan even. So that's why she thinks that she can kind of dictate like how this is going to go down. And I think she thinks that Jessica has some kind of sense of loyalty to her and that, if she were to snap her fingers and be like, it's either me or Juan that, but she's not going to do that because, that's, she's not that kind of person. But if she were, that Jessica would pick her. And it's like, no, but that's not how it is.
That's not how it is. Yeah. I mean, that's definitely she wants it to be one way, but it's the other way.
Right. And I also get the impression that Jessica is someone who kind of drops everything, like drops her friends for a man. I get that vibe from her. Oh, yeah. I definitely do. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, I don't know why you think it's another way because it doesn't seem like Jessica has a history of picking you over the guys anyway.
And it's also just like, man, I kind of felt for Juan on this because I feel like this situation, if it plays out the way Megan wants it to play out, it's like all of the downsides of sister wives, but none of the good parts of sister wives.
Right?
Like,
Juan wouldn't want anything to do with this crazy girl.
Not that he would anyway, but
No.
it's like, well, the reason like polyamorous relationships often fall apart is there's the jealousy, there's the thing. He's got to keep two people happy, and he's like, but I'm not getting anything out of this. Right? I'm doing all the work, and I'm getting none of the, like, not that he wants the rewards that I'm saying, but it's like, I didn't want this car. Now I have to change its oil all the time.
Yeah,
This sucks.
he doesn't want those benefits. No,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. Okay, sorry, we're having to speed this along a little bit. We're on a time crunch a little bit today. But let's move on to Sarper and Shekinah. So Shekinah is making a protein shake in their unusable kitchen. Sarper says that every day things seem to be getting a little better, but he's also feeling so-so after their hangout with her friend Dan. Sarper thinks that Dan was just pushing buttons, and we get a random montage of Dan saying Sarper in his exaggerated French accent.
Sarper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarper compares him to a French bulldog, and he thinks of himself as a German shepherd. Sarper says that if it happens again, no one's going to see, quote, modern Sarper again. He hates this version of himself that talks things out instead of non-modern Sarper who just fights everyone. Shekinah says the next hurdle is him meeting her daughter Sophie, but she's worried because Sophie's heard a lot of negative things about Sarper. Sarper says that he will be caveman Sarper in bed since Shekinah was turned on by modern Sarper. Sarper and Shekinah are on their way to meet her daughter Sophie. Sarper asks what Sophie thinks of him, and we get intel about Shariah, Shekinah's sister. She didn't really have the best impression of him when they were on the show and met in Turkey, and she relayed her feelings to Sophie. Sarper says he felt like he was much more rigid when he met Shariah, but he feels like he's softened since. Sophie hasn't even agreed to meet Sarper yet, and there's nothing Shekinah can do about that, and she's nervous about the 90-day deadline to get married. They check into a rental as Shekinah gets ready to meet Sophie. She thinks it's important to see your partner with your child, but Sophie hasn't been eager to meet Sarper. Shekinah was trying to be patient and not push Sophie to meet him, but she needs Sophie's approval before they get married. Shekinah and her daughter go get their nails done. Sophie asks about Sarper, and Shekinah talks about seeing the U.S. through a foreigner's eyes. Meanwhile, Sarper goes to see the sea lions, and he says that he just wants to pet them. Sophie says that she's been reluctant to meet Sarper because she wanted to make sure that the relationship was stable, and she does find it strange that they are engaged and she's never even met him. Shekinah emphasizes that she wants her to make her own opinion about him. Sophie says that she's open to meeting him. Sophie describes Shekinah's past relationships as bad, and that she says that she went through all that when she was young, so she has been hesitant about this relationship. Sophie asks how it would play out if she doesn't get along with Sarper, and Shekinah says if anything impacted how she sees Sarper, meaning, maybe that Sophie doesn't like him, then she would break up with him. She regrets not seeing how her relationships have affected her daughter in the past. Okay, so they certainly teased that Shekinah said that she would break up with Sarper, but I noticed that she was very careful not to say those exact words. So if Sophie disapproved of Sarper, do you think that Shekinah would still get married to him?
Yeah, because and it's not anything between them specifically. I just feel like we've seen a bunch of couples where that happened.
Yeah.
Right, where they're like, oh, well, he didn't get along with my kids. Kids come, they're like, I hate him. And they're like, well, we only have 90 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I definitely feel like it's been a common enough trope that it's one of those ones that I just believe that, like, no, you've already made the decision. And I don't think that that's going to be enough to move you out of the decision.
Well, and I think they're in kind of a unique situation in that Sophie, even though she's a minor child, she goes to a boarding school. She's not with Shekinah all the time. It's almost like she's an adult, and I can certainly understand if you have adult children who disapprove of your relationship, because it's like, well, you don't live at the house. And I mean, in an ideal world, it would be great if you approved, but it really shouldn't affect you depending on why it is that you don't approve.
Right.
If it's like because of something like nefarious, like abuse or other, then
Sure, yeah,
that's,
sure.
something you should be listening to your kids about. But, if it's just like, I don't like his face, I don't like his sense of humor. He rubs me the wrong way. I just want you to be alone for the rest of your life because that's how I don't want you to replace my father or mother. Like those situations, it's kind of like, I can see how it doesn't really matter in the end
Right.
if your kids disapprove. And she's kind of like adult-like in that sense. She doesn't have to live with Shekinah and Sarper.
Yeah, and I think part of it is just like this kind of belief, and because we tend to see people all the time with these optimistic beliefs, and the almost like the manifestation belief, right?
Oh,
she's like, well, I really don't want to think about what if. She does think about what if, but at the end of the day, she's just like, don't think it's going to happen. I think she'll like him fine, and it'll be fine, and we won't have to worry about it. I don't have to cross that bridge, and then I can say. We be on the record having said that I would do something differently if she didn't like him, but we didn't have to actually pull the trigger on that. And so I feel like that's what a lot of people are hoping is they say that thing about the kids, thinking that at the end of the day, they're like, but they're going to love him. So it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter what I say about that. But yeah, I mean, it is a little bit, I definitely do think the adult kids don't get a say. Like, you're done. I'm done with you. You've moved out. You have your own life. But this isn't an adult yet. And it is that weird in-between place, like you said. She's not a child who lives with them and is going to be partially raised by this guy. She probably won't consider him a dad of any kind. So, yeah, it does make a difference about how much of the daily life of your child gets impacted, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Speaking of people talking to their families and family disapproval, let's talk about Steve and Maddie.
Gosh.
So Steve and Maddie are on their way to the gym to do gym things. So she feels weird, like carrying on, just doing their everyday stuff with, I don't know, whatever things she made up in her head, him not being 100% or something. I don't know. And it's weird for him going to a co-ed gym. So he says the government of Iran is very concerned with keeping guys from getting boners, which is why all gyms are single-sex gyms. So she starts on the treadmill, and he is like, get on a weight machine or something. And he doesn't know what to do. He goes around different machines, and then like he's lifting, and it's like, oh, can't look over there. There's a woman. Oh no, there's another one over there. Where do I look? I don't know what to do. And then like. It was even like a woman who wanted to like trade off on the machine, and she like started lifting in front of him. He was like, I don't know where to look. What am I doing? Or he also doesn't know how to convert pounds to kilos and kilos to pounds. So he has no idea what's going on here, even though he goes to the gym every day in Iran. So then he asks Stevi about possibly being a personal trainer, which didn't seem like the move after you're like, how not to stare at boobs. I don't know how to do this. But that's one of the things he's thinking about doing. So she warns that the girls in America are a lot more forward. If they think you're hot, if you're a personal trainer, it might come on to you. But he seems to handle her hypothetical all right, just being like, sorry, I'm married. She's like, yeah, that's right. So he tries out some personal training on her, and somehow the subject gets to her paintings. He says that for him, it's weird that there's so many boobs, and like, do you have a thing for boobs? Like, do you turned on by boobs? So she's offended that he's asking if she's bisexual, but notably doesn't say that she's not.
Right.
So the producers note that she's never actually told him, and she's like, well, I don't know why he needs to be. I'm not going to put him at ease if that's what he needs to be at ease. So she says that no one has ever asked that before, but her dad has joked about it. I don't know. It's a whole thing. So he doesn't like how she's seemingly purposely being vague about being bi, because he would like to know if she's bi before they get married, because that might make him feel a different kind of way, especially with all the boobs that she's looking at all the time. Back at the house, she has this whole romantic date thing set up. So it's her date night, and her vision is a new thing for them to try. She gives him some wine, which of course you can't have in Iran, or he says you get 40 lashes. And the idea is to paint him, or I don't know. he teases about, she's first teases like, oh, we're going to paint a naked picture of you. He's like, I'm not okay with that. And she's like, haha, just kidding. Instead, why don't you paint my butt and I'll sit on the canvas and that'll be our painting. And he's like, yeah, I'm not uncomfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with that either. I don't want a painting of your butt that everybody sees. That's not great to me. How about we do it with my guns instead? So his arm gets painted white. They make it, and they do that. So after the painting, he talks about how expensive it's getting to get his status changed to permanent resident. So it sounds like there's, I don't know why, but there maybe is a price change coming up, and they could save a bunch of money on the visa if they got married earlier in the 90 days rather than later in the 90 days. So also that would mean he would be faster on the way of getting his work card, right? Because it would be married earlier. So she hears him. But it's a lot for her to process because she feels like now they're rushing into marriage.
Oh, God.
She wants him to be, she wants him to be fully adjusted before they get married. She wants him to be all in. She feels like he's not all in. Doesn't want to run back home. She says she'll only feel better about rushing in like that when they're in a better place, both relationship-wise, because she has a choice too. She doesn't have to get married to him, which is something she thinks he didn't think about. So she explained to him how she feels like he's half out, especially after he talks to his family and gets all homesick. And she doesn't like coming home to a sad guy. And he talks to his family like every day, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just makes him sad. So he's always sad and bummed when she comes home. So he tells us that he's trying to balance his lives, and now he's done it in such a way that nobody's happy. He thought he was doing a good job hiding his feelings from her, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing a good job. So her solution, though, is just maybe he shouldn't talk to his family as much. So, like, not every day. So that just isn't a solution that works for him. So he just thinks that maybe if she was willing to, maybe if that's what her solution is, you should give up your family for me, that this isn't the right person to get married to. So I guess in this case, they're both kind of not sure the other person is the right one for what they need right now. And like, I guess who's more right? Is she more right about him or is he more right about her?
I think if you're asking me Team Maddie or Team Stevi.
Yeah, kind of more or less. Yeah,
I think I'm more Team Maddie on this episode. I just feel that it was really weird to me that she just wouldn't answer him. I thought his question was out of curiosity. It wasn't meant to be insulting. And so in that context, like, she should have just answered him. And I feel like she brings, and this is with everything, right? You bring more like suspicion to why you won't answer if you don't answer, and then like the whole wedding thing, like, it just seems so bizarre to me that you come over here, you're like, oh, it's not enough time. But the thing is like, you're gonna be married one way or the other. So if the result is the same, why does it matter if it's 30 days before you thought it was going to be? Unless you actually cared about the wedding part, which it doesn't sound like they are. And so it's like this whole idea that, people are on this show. It happens all the time. Almost every single couple. Like, I'm still trying to figure out if this is what I want. It's like, why? The fact that you're engaged. Yeah.
Especially with the thing, that you're engaged. You have, even if you have a wedding like set, right?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of situations where it's like, oh man, we really need to get married earlier. Mm-hmm. And you go to the courthouse, you get married, and then you still have your wedding.
Yeah, that's true. You still have
people do that for, oh man, something came up and it'd be nice if you got on my health insurance a couple months early. Right. So let's just do that. Right. Yeah. Like that's totally reasonable. And so it can't be the wedding. It has to be we're not sure we want to do this yet. And it's like, I don't think you're going to be more sure 30 days later.
Right.
Like, that's the part that gets me is like, yes, we always struggle with the 90 days just isn't enough time because it's also not enough because it's already not enough time. Right. So if we're cutting back even further, that doesn't seem like it's unreasonable to me. Like, oh man, we got married 70 days. If I had those extra 20 days, I'd have been really sure. No, you wouldn't have.
Right.
Like you're not going to get more sure in this 90 days, right? Or less sure. Your opinion probably isn't going to change all that much.
Yeah. So true. All right. So out of the group we saw this week, I guess we didn't see Greg and Joan. Who would you say is your student of the week?
Geez, I would say I don't like them. I don't like just going through. I would say Jessica. I feel like Jessica was trying to do what's right. She had the right opinions of why does it matter if you trust my husband or not? You don't have to, right? But and she's trying to get the right result without trying to just like tell Megan she's crazy because Megan's being crazy.
Yeah.
So she's trying her best.
I went with Shekinah, and this is kind of like a very hesitant Shekinah. I think that she's trying to give Sophie an opportunity to give her opinion, express her opinion, but not make any promises one way or the other, which I think is a fair way to kind of approach this problem. Yeah. So what about your dunce?
I said Ameni. Just
yeah.
But she's just being super fake to manipulate two people at the same time. It's like twice as bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I went with Stevi. I just didn't understand why she was being so evasive. Just so freaked out, it's out of time. Can't, get married earlier. It's like, why not? Okay, genuinely, I would probably say, okay, well, if you don't want to, you pay the difference of the visa.
Yeah, kind of. Sure, if it's going to cost us more. But I mean, at the end of the day, when you're married, it kind of turns into your money. Yeah.
True. What about your life lesson?
I mean, I'll just go with the simple one. Sarper is right. Don't pet the sea lions.
Oh, God.
They will bite you.
We just saw the sea lions. So Mr. O was in San Diego this last weekend, and I went up and met up with him. And I don't know how Sarper did not know anything about the smell. Sea lions smell so badly.
That's literally like the first thing I hear if anybody say, oh, I went to saw the sea lions. And they smelled. Like even my, even with that was with the family I was we had a small kid, and it was like, oh, did you see the seals? He's like, yeah, they stink.
Yeah, they smell so bad. It's a strong, disgusting smell. Okay, my life lesson is for Stevi, not Maddie. If a partner asks you a serious question about your sexuality, you have an obligation to be honest with them.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That affects them, like if you're talking about your intimate partner and they're asking you a serious question, like you do have an obligation to be honest and not so I don't even know what that was, because at the end of the day, she did not give him an answer. And it's one thing to not want to give an answer on camera, but she is gaslighting him and making him seem like he's crazy for even asking her that. And that's not fair.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that goes for, many of your, any kind of your sexual preferences of sorts, right? If it's something that your partner is choosing to only to be monogamous and stay with you, they do kind of need full information going into that.
All right. So we will be back again with this group next week. So until then.
We'll see everybody then.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.